until we convince you and your neighbors that your border is secure. Ladies and gentlemen, your border is not secure. And I promise you, we're going to make it secure before we do anything else. We're going to send more to and the Obama administration has cut Border Patrol agents. They have not built the fence like the Congress has mandated, and the technology to secure the border is not working. I want to let the Hispanic community know that your natural home should be the Republican Party. I want to let everybody who believes in hard work, who will serve in the military, will get up early and stay late, that you should consider the Republican Party your home. So when we talk about immigration, we got a right to be upset. But to my Hispanic fellow citizens, you are welcome in the Republican Party, but help us fix immigration. And here's what happened today. Harry Reid. You know Harry? Well, don't get overly attached to him, because Harry, I don't think, is going to be with us much longer in terms of being in the Senate. Now, I like Harry fine, but let me tell you about Harry Reid. He's down 20 points, and the only way he can win is draw an inside straight. Sorry about that to all the preachers out there. You probably don't know what I'm talking about. But he's about to play the immigration card. At a time when our borders are more broken than ever, at a time when Mexico is at war with itself, the drug cartels are about to take over parts of Mexico, now is not the time, Harry, to bring up immigration reform. Harry, I hope you're listening to me and the American public. Please do not do this. I know you're behind in Nevada. I know you got a tough race on your hands. But don't take immigration and bring it to the floor of the United States Senate to try to make the Republican Party look bad and you look good. You're not helping America when you do that. This is our country, ladies and gentlemen. We have to work together. So I'm going to tell you one thing. I will continue to work on comprehensive immigration reform, but not until I can convince you and every other American that we have secured your border. So to my Democratic friends, you may think it is good politics to put immigration on the table because you made a promise to the Hispanic community that you broke. Well, I can tell you it is not good politics to take the United States Senate and turn it upside down because you're behind in an election. I promise everybody in this room that I'm going to be the strongest and loudest voice possible to get a reasoned and rational solution on immigration. But if they bring this bill up in this environment to break my country apart because they're behind in an election, I'm going to be their worst nightmare, and I need your help and support. God bless you.
So now, the time that we've all been waiting for, I'm going to be privileged to introduce my dear friend Ambassador David Wilkins, who will then in turn introduce Karl Rove, and I know we are excited to hear about all of the great things that Mr. Rove will share with us. But you all know Ambassador Wilkins. He was elected in the House in 1980 when there were literally only a handful of Republicans. He became Speaker in 1994 with the Republican takeover, and during that time was Speaker, fought numerous tax increases while succeeding in cutting property taxes, income taxes, and played serious roles in ethics legislation banning video poker. He went on to serve as ambassador to Canada from 2005 to 2009, and I cannot tell you all how happy we are to have him back home in the state of South Carolina. Ambassador Wilkins.
Well, thank you very much, Karen, for that very kind introduction, and thank you for all you do for our party and for our state. You know, this time last year, Democrat James Carville had sold maybe a dozen or so copies of his prolific book. All of them, I might add, were the anchors and staff of MSNBC, which proffered the highly analytical notion that with the rise of Obama and this Democrat Congress, Republicans had been banished to the barren wastelands of minority government and hopeless elections for at least the next 40 years. Now, I'm no math wizard, but it looks like to me that Karl Rove missed it by about 38 years. Under Obama and the Democrats, Americans have seen their future, and we all know our only hope is to change things fast. And remember the old adage, never forget who brung you to the dance. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid have not only forgotten the millions of honest, hard-working Americans who took a big risk by bringing them to the dance, but they have run straight into the arms of the most radical bullies on the dance floor. And now Washington is in bed with the extreme left, with unions, and with Hollywood. We're treating our enemies like trusted friends, our proven friends with enmity. And our domestic agenda has Cuba's dictator cheering. So, folks, it's time to rebuild. And thankfully, we have the one and only architect in the House who knows better, who knows better than anyone else how to plan for victory. We all know Karl Rove helped lead George W. Bush to 2 must-have presidential victories. And I think now, more than ever, Americans are profoundly grateful that George W. Bush was our commander-in-chief on September 11, 2001. Karl Rove was by his side every step of the way, serving as White House Deputy Chief of Staff and political advisor, and he now adds the title of author to his distinguished resume. In his book, Courage and Consequence, Karl reminds all of us how very much our country needs leaders willing to protect and defend us against freedom's enemies, both here at home and abroad. And nowadays you can catch Karl on Fox News or read his columns in the Wall Street Journal and Newsweek. And best of all, whether he's facing down a Code Pink heckler or debating David Axelrod, Karl is deeply engaged in the fight to keep liberty's light shining brightly. I'm proud to call Karl Rove my friend. It's my honor to introduce him to you. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me and welcome the Energizer Bunny of Republican politics, the author extraordinaire, the one and only Karl Rove.
Thank you. Sit down. Sit down. The sooner you sit down, the sooner I get started, the sooner you get home. If you want to get a cup of coffee, you better go now. Thank you, David, for that very kind introduction. David came here tonight and did something that put him in grave personal danger. He agreed to come and introduce me on the night that he was supposed to be taking Susan to a wedding. She's there, he's here. I told him to leave as soon as he introduced me. Because it's not that I care about David, I care about being on the right side of Susan. So I told him to hit the roads, but I really appreciate David coming today. I got to tell you, now that he's gone, he did an extraordinary job for our country as ambassador with one of our most important allies. And Susan did a fantastic job. If you become an ambassador, your spouse has a full-time job, and Susan had a fantastic run as the sort of First Lady of American candidate and did an extraordinary job. I want to thank Senator Graham. He's now gone. I told him, he said, look, I'm going to stick around for your speech. I said, how long do you have to drive to get home? He said, 3 hours. I said, I do not want you on the road after midnight. Get out of here now. So I appreciate him coming tonight, but I gave him an excuse. Governor Sanford, you ought to get out of here. You got things to do. You got a real job. How many of these have you been to, sir? I want to acknowledge your